Hello everyone and welcome to masterclasskamloops.com. I'm Crystal Lowen and today we're talking to BC musician Kris Ruston, and he's a multi-talented performer, recording artist, composer, and teacher. And today he's going to talk to us about his time in the jazz program at Capilano College, performing in the Pit Orchestra for Musical Theatre, and how you can prepare for the recording studio. Hey Kris.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going well. How about you?
I'm good. So what you're working on right now is performing with the Pit Orchestra for Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, right?
Yes, at the Sagebrush Theatre here in Kamloops.
Cool.
Yes.
And what instruments are you going to be playing?
I'm playing bass mostly, but there's a few songs where I'm doubling on the electric guitar, and we've got somebody else covering the bass lines while I'm doing that. So.
I've heard the schedule's pretty intense for musical theater productions, so like, do you have a whole week of full day rehearsals before you start?
It's off and on. We have, when we first got together, there was some late night rehearsals that we did with the band before the Sitzprobe, which is where the cast and the band come together for the first time. Once we do that, and the rehearsals do get a little bit more intense. They're mostly all day, starting at noon and getting into late nights.
Whoa, so like 12 hours?
Yeah, we had our first dress rehearsal yesterday, and we were there from 12 in the afternoon. I mean, there's a dinner break, but 12 in the afternoon until 10 at night.
Whoa.
So,
long days for sure.
Yeah, long days.
So, like, if you're new to the Pit Orchestra, what kind of things would you warn people about being mindful of? Like, you don't just concentrate on the music in front of you, right? There's lots of other things.
Right. When you're in the pit, you don't see. Well, I mean, the musical director sees. He's kind of got his head poking out of a little spot there, actually watching what's happening on stage. We don't get to see that. We're sort of facing the opposite way and looking at the director. So we really have to sort of watch him for all the cues. Musical theater is a little different because we're accompanying everybody. We're underneath the stage in this situation, and so when there's a cue, the musical director sees what's going on and gives us, the band, sort of the next cue to get into the next song.
So you don't even see the stage at all, then?
I haven't seen any of the performances.
Whoa. That's crazy.
I've seen a few costumes in the hallways, during the breaks, and I have seen the set, but I haven't seen any of the performances or what the lights look like or anything like that. So it's as a pit musician, a lot of the time I think you end up missing out on a lot of that stuff unless you end up seeing video footage or you get a chance to sort of watch what's going on.
Yeah.
But we're the Pit Orchestra for the band is small. It's a 4-piece, but it sounds huge because it's percussion, drums, myself on bass and guitar, and then we've got 2 keyboard players. So one guy covering all the piano parts, and the other guy is an auxiliary, just playing synth, strings, horns, everything that you can imagine.
So you guys are busy down there.
Yes, yeah, it's a lot of work getting that together. But the band sounds tight, and I'm excited to get to our first show. So
you attended the jazz program at Capilano College when you went to school.
Yes.
I've heard you have a audition process to get in. So what's that all like?
Yeah, I mean, most post-secondary institutions, if you're going to study music, they want to know that you're up on your theory, so which is usually equivalent to grade 2 rudiments.
Yeah.
And so there's a theory exam to get in, and then there's an audition, and then they look at your transcripts from high school and stuff like that as well. But the audition is a big part of it. They want to know that for the program that I was in at Capilano, they test your ear to make sure that you can sing back, some intervals and be able to play some scales and chords, and because I studied guitar mostly. I did a few secondaries while I was there, but guitar was my focus. So it's a bit of a process, and it took me a few months to prepare for it.
Yeah.
For that particular audition.
So, like, when you're in the program, what is your daily life? Like, what kind of practice schedule do you have, and what kind of courses are you taking all at once?
Well, there's a lot of small classes with that program. There was, I think I was taking 7 or 8 at a time, like during a semester. They're not long classes, and they're not, they all add up, of course, the amount of practice you have to do, and the little projects, and whether it's composition or ear training or whatever. There's a lot, to take on in a day. I practiced probably about 4 hours a day just to sort of keep up when I first got in there, because I was in over my head. At least I felt like that.
Yeah.
But it started getting a little easier once you get into a routine, and I think part of it is, not what you're practicing, but how you're practicing too,
Yeah.
right? And making sure that you're, practicing painfully slow and try to digest everything you can that they're giving you.
It's a good quality.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. It's good practice.
So when you come out of the program, like, most of the students must have a really good idea of what they want to do as musicians. But do the teachers help you with, like, leads or ideas for promoting yourself?
Yeah.
Or are you pretty much on your own?
They should. I think they should have a class where they a marketing class, because
Yeah.
I think musicians and artists in general are sometimes the worst at marketing themselves and getting their art or their music, their film, whatever, out there, for people to see. You have to cram it down people's throats. That's the reality of of today's, especially in the digital world, where it's like everything is just coming down the tube, right? And it's like, if you're not the next thing, you're just sort of background noise while somebody's checking their email. I think marketing is a big thing. The teachers that I had were good, in the way that, it's like, you can go and hustle gigs, and this is how you can sort of become a professional. But I mean, I think a lot of the time, kids come out of that program going, well, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Am I going to be a professional musician, living from gig to gig, or am I going to teach, high school band, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, some of those decisions are made, I think, in the program, but with the help of the teachers. But a lot of the time they get out of the program looking around and trying to figure out what they want to do.
Yeah. So now you're teaching and recording, and you did some composing this spring.
Yes, yeah. Last year I worked on the opening, all the music for the opening ceremonies for the Western Canada Summer Games here in Kamloops, and that was a new experience for me. A lot of soundscaping and but composition nonetheless, and it was different.
How much music were you asked to do? Like,
it was about a half hour worth of music, which took me about 6 months.
That is a lot.
Yeah, because I not only had to compose it, but I had to record it, produce it, play all the instruments on it as well, and mix it and master it.
Oh my gosh, a lot of work.
It is. It's a lot of work for sure.
And you're also doing artist development in your studio as well, right?
Yeah, here at the studio, or at Small World Studios, myself as well as Henry Small, who owns the studio, we're doing artist development. We're bringing in musicians and bands that are interested in in production and getting more of a finished kind of product, as opposed to just coming into a studio and set up some microphones and push and record, let them go. We're trying to get a good performance out of these guys and help them along, musically as well. Henry's had lots of experience with studios and big producers, production techniques in Los Angeles, and in England when he was there, and I've got a good musical background too, as well as Henry, so we can work out little bugs. If the parts aren't working, we can sort of help them along in those regards as well.
So for the artists, if they want the recording session to go really smoothly, is there anything you suggest they do in advance or get prepared? Yeah,
there is something called pre-production, and you can either do that on your own, or you can work with a producer on that as well. And it's just basically just getting your parts, and try to avoid going into the studio just thinking, oh, we'll figure it out when we're,
Wing it.
when we're in there. Exactly. That's always a recipe for disaster. And the worst thing is background vocals. It's like, work those out first, because they always take the longest. They're the last thing to go on most of the time, and they're always the worst. It's the worst part, it's experience-wise, because it's nobody knows what they're doing. And,
Yeah.
And if you have to bring in studio musicians, if you're not prepared yourself, I mean, that's never it's never a bad thing. So yeah, it's all preparation, just making sure that you're good to go. You know what you want to lay down.
Yeah. So what projects do you have on the go now as far as bands that you're performing with in the city?
I'm finished. Last year I did some recording with the Infectuals, which is a band that I've been playing with for a long time here in Kamloops. We're waiting for that project. We actually did that down at Mushroom Studios in Vancouver. We're waiting for that to be mastered, and some things will happen with that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right now I'm working on an album with Henry Small. It's his project. He's written some songs, co-written some things with another guy named Matt Stanley in town here, and so I've sort of taken on a bit of co-production, playing most of the instruments on that project, and I'm working on my own thing all the time.
Yeah.
That's changing from day to day. One week it might be some jazz things that I'm working on, some compositions, and then the next I'm playing some rock music. So it's I've always got something on the go.
So if people want to find you and hear about your next performance, or talk to you about recording or your teaching studio, can they find you online?
Yes, I have a website. It's krisruston.com, and it's easy. It's a very simple website, and all the information that anybody needs is right on there. So.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
So thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to check out our upcoming interviews at masterclasskamloops.com.